Today we're doing two NFL player props here on PrizePicks for Saturday, December 23rd. Now we got two games here on this slate. We got Cincy versus Pitt, and then Buffalo versus the Chargers. So before I get started, you guys take a look in the description below. You can hop into our premium Discord. It comes out to 31 cents per day, $9.30 per month. In my opinion, one of the cheaper premium Discords just out in general. Also want to mention I'm not a gambling expert, and this is not financial advice. It is simply the place I'm personally looking at making. Hopefully giving you guys some insight and analysis to then make your own player prop decisions here. Again, no one's pressing submit on those parlays other than yourselves. But let's get right into it, you guys. I do got two NFL player props here for these two games on the Saturday. Again, we're at that time of year where we are getting these Saturday slates here. I'm surprised it's not a morning game. Last week we had three games on Saturday, but nonetheless, again, we did cash on our Thursday night football props. We had Kamara receptions and Matt Stafford fantasy. So again, drop a like on this video. Make sure you guys comment below if you did tail on these plays here. But yeah, let's not waste any time. Let's just get right into it. So the first play that I'm targeting is going to be a fantasy score prop, and we're looking at an absolute wagon for us. It's going to be Tanner Hudson. Now, Tanner Hudson has been just over his 7 fantasy score here, but he's just been a wagon for us in the premium Discord. I've played Tanner Hudson in some capacity at least once over the last 6 weeks, and I think he's only missed for us one single time. So I like Tanner Hudson here. We look at this matchup, Cincinnati versus Pitt. Obviously, Cincinnati has no Joe Burrow, Jake Browning's quarterback, and Jamar Chase is out for this game as well, which I think directly impacts Tanner Hudson the most, more than T. Higgins and more than Tyler Boyd in this matchup specifically, which I'll get into in a second. But some rain looking like it's going to be on the forecast. 38 over under. Cincinnati's going to be 2.5 point favorites in this one. But looking at this, Tanner Hudson, all right, let's just take a week. Since week 9 really is when he officially, I guess you could say, got starter snaps, and he's had 8 fantasy, 9, 8, 5.8, 7.5, 10.1, and 9.9. So over the last 7 weeks, he's gone over this line in 6 of his last 7 games. Over this line of 7 fantasy in 6 of his last 7 games. And I'm not saying he smashed over on this line, but with not crazy volume. We're talking about here, for example, at Jacksonville, this dude only runs 10 routes and finishes with 7.5 fantasy, 10 routes, 4 targets, 4 catches, 35 yards. Right, so 4 catches for 31 yards hits the over on this line of 7.7 fantasy. It is PPR scoring. But I like this for a few reasons. One, with Jamar Chase out, we've seen since Jake Browning has kind of become the starting quarterback, Jamar Chase's average depth of throw is a lot lower than it was with Joe Burrow. I think Jake Browning has one of the lowest ADOTs of any starting quarterback in the NFL. So he's not really passing the ball that much deep, right? Huge gains and huge plays like that, which brings in Tanner Hudson, who with Jamar Chase out, I think absorbs a little bit more of those low ADOT throws versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, who love to pressure the quarterback, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers, over the course of the season have the 4th highest blitz rate in the NFL, 36.3% blitz rate, which is the 4th highest in the NFL. And if you watch these games, Tanner Hudson, he chips, right, the defensive end or who's ever blitzing or whoever's bringing pressure, he chips, and then he lays out for a flat route or something like that, and it's easy check down for Jake Browning or Joe Burrow, whoever his quarterback is at the time. Watch the film. If you guys know ball, you can definitely see how Tanner Hudson benefits from teams that do love to blitz. Now, even deeper than that, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been getting cooked by tight ends. Over the last 4 weeks, they're giving up the most fantasy points to the tight end position. 13.2 fantasy points to the tight end position over the last 4 weeks. We look at these tight ends that have cleared this over, right? A lot of them have done this with a touchdown, and I think Tanner Hudson, he's cleared this over, like I said. In his last 7 games, he's cleared this in 6 of 7, and only 1 of those games did he have a touchdown. Only 1. So he can do this without a touchdown, and it's good to see, actually, with that touchdown upside here, that a lot of these tight ends have been scoring touchdowns against the Steelers. Mo Alley Cox, 10.1 PPR fantasy points on 3 targets, 2 catches, and a touchdown, 21 yards. You can see here, Hunter Henry went crazy, 19 PPR fantasy points, 3 catches, only 3 catches, 40 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Trey McBride, 22.9 fantasy, 8 catches and 9 targets, 89 yards, and a touchdown. Even going here, Drew Sample in that game, which Pittsburgh and Cincy faced each other about almost a month ago. Tanner Hudson had 5.8 fantasy in that game, saw the most targets of any tight end. But we also saw his other 2 tight ends in that Bengals offense. Drew Sample had 8.1. He caught 1 pass for 11 yards and a touchdown. And then we also saw Irv Smith, 2.8 fantasy, 2 targets, 2 catches. So we saw total tight ends for Cincy against Pittsburgh have 8 total targets. Right, week before that, David Njoku, 12.6 PPR fantasy points. Luke Musgrave, 8.4. So there's just a variety of ways for Tanner Hudson to hit the over on this. I think with the weather being a little bit of a factor, with Jamar Chase out, obviously Tanner Hudson absorbs some of those more lower A-dot type of throws. Not like T. Higgins, he's going to get super low A-dot type of catches and things like that. So it's a great matchup. We look over on Outlier. There's a link in the description. You get a 7-day free trial with Outlier. Current odds for Tanner Hudson over 2.5 receptions is like -180, -182 on FanDuel. So, I mean, books heavily juicing him on the over of 2.5 receptions. So, if he gets 3-4 receptions, that's already putting at 4 fantasy points. 30 yards puts him at 7. I love this play along with the touchdown upside as well against the Steelers team that's just been getting cooked. Ton of touchdowns to tight ends recently. So, Tanner Hudson over 7 fantasy scores the first play. The second play that I'm targeting is going to be a first half prop here, up here, NFL first half fantasy. And I am looking, obviously, this is going to be from the second game. I'm looking at Josh Allen. I'm just going to ride this wave here. 11.5 fantasy for Josh Allen in the first half. So we know Ken Dorsey got fired, right? So Ken Dorsey gets fired by the Bills, and Joe Brady becomes the new OC. This was on November 14th, okay? So we look at Josh Allen, and that first game after November 14th here faces the Jets, 27.3 fantasy, the second best pass defense in the NFL, 27.3. Then he plays the Eagles, one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. He has 45.1 fantasy. Then he has a bye. Then he goes to at Kansas City in the weather, has 24.9 fantasy. Right? Then last week, he only throws the ball 15 times, throws the ball for 94 yards, finishes with 17.1 fantasy. Now, obviously, these 4 games here are full game lines, right? But we look at Josh Allen specifically. Essentially his last 3 games, 22.36, 17.6, 14.42 in the first half. So he's hammered the over on this line in his last 3 starts, right? And Joe Brady doing a lot of things that I think really benefit Josh Allen. He's letting James Cook absolutely go crazy, which opens up the passing game, opens up play action, opens up read option and things like that for Josh Allen to run the ball, right? We're seeing Josh Allen become a little bit more effective on his legs as he has been all season. 81 and 2 touchdowns on the ground here, 32 and a touchdown here, 24 and a touchdown here. So he's really starting to dominate, and we know the type of quarterback fantasy score-wise that Josh Allen is, right? And it's just an elite matchup. It's a cake matchup in my opinion. We look at the Chargers over the course of the season, the 5th most fantasy points to the quarterback position. Just getting absolutely dominated by quarterbacks all season long, right? This is full games, obviously. We just saw Aiden O'Connell go for 25.9 fantasy against the Chargers. 25.9 from Aiden O'Connell. So you're telling me Josh Allen in the first half can't give us 11.6? This line's a little bit too low for me. This game is playing indoors at SoFi Stadium. Weather is not going to be a factor at all. I think the Buffalo comes in. They're 12.5 point favorites, which is why I'm taking first half here. 44 over under. So if you do the math there, Buffalo projected for quite a bit of scoring in this game anyways. Here are the 2 plays for this YouTube video. Not going to overthink either one of these. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about them. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and as always, let's cash.